Welcome in, guys, to the Full Force Fathers podcast, episode 28, Dave. Unbelievable. I say it every time. I can't believe that these episode numbers keep climbing higher and higher. How the hell are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. How was the trip to Connecticut?
I'm glad to be home.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it's always good. If you guys don't know the backstory, we moved to Arizona over 7 years ago now. I've been to Connecticut 3 times, 2 times with everybody, and once by myself for a free solo little 3-day thing. My dad had a heart operation. So this was the 3rd time that Andine has been home since 2015. It's only the 2nd time for Finley, and then obviously the 3rd time for the girls as well. It was good. It's always nice to see family, but it's that small town mindset, it never changes. It's the same thing. We had a good time. We got to go to Vermont for a few days, but we'll talk about it a little bit more on the show. I can go into some detail about some stuff that we did, but we're good. We're glad to be home. Leaves were changing.
That's
falls
great.
upon us. It is nice in New England in the fall time to look at the weather starts to cool off and stuff, but yeah, it was good. So how about you? How's everything with you?
That's great. Yeah, things are good here. It's starting to sort of cool down a little bit. I don't know if you can tell, but here we go. I got looks like I got attacked by a cat. I was outside working with the mesquite trees, as you know here, which are a lot of fun. They kicked my ass pretty good. Climbing up in the ladder in the tree, and I was getting hammered. My neighbor heard me. She asked if everything was okay, because I would cut a limb, it would fall and stab me in the shoulder, and be like, shit.
Yeah,
everything okay over there?
Those mesquite trees are no joke, dude. They have some of the biggest thorns that are like 4 inches long. Those things will impale you.
Yeah, and the littlest of sprouts have like the longest ones. It's crazy, right? And I've said this since we moved here. I didn't realize that everything out here tries to kill you. Literally everything. You got the cactuses. Even the weeds have fucking thorns. It's brutal. Everything out here wants to kill you. The spiders and the snakes and the lizards. It's just everything. Everything wants a piece of you.
We forgot the big one, though. The sun's sole purpose is to try to kill anything that lives there, too. So,
yeah, it is.
That's the sole purpose of the sun, is to kill everybody and kill everything. So, but no. By the way, anybody cut your mesquite tree for you lately?
I did have someone cut my big mesquite tree out in front, thankfully. But the one in the back I take, and Brett's laughing because he's normally the one that would come over and cut the sprouts. And, I want him to come out here for Halloween because I've got a few other ones that popped up. And also he hangs my Christmas lights because I don't like heights. So he puts the Christmas lights up in the tree for me. I could do them on the house. I'm good there. But climbing up into that tree and wrapping them around the big branches, not a shot in hell. So we might have a lower Christmas display than we've had in the past unless you get out here.
Yeah, no, I channel my inner monkey when it comes time to climbing trees. But let me tell you, back to those mesquite trees, and we get into the show, you have to be very careful when you climb those trees because of those thorns. I can't tell you how many times I was climbing the tree in front of our old house to either hang Christmas lights or do something, and my hand wraps around the tree, and you don't see that thorn, and bam, it's all of a sudden a half an inch deep in your hand, and you don't want to yank because you don't want to break that stinking thing off, and you're like, ow, 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 ow. And it is miserable. Yeah. So if you don't know what we're talking about, we sorry to bore you with the details, but mesquite trees are gnarly. And, but no, yes, I did hang Dave's Christmas lights every year for him because he's scared of heights and he doesn't like to go up there. And I'm out there hanging on the limb with one hand, trying to wrap the lights around. But it's always a good time. And, that kind of segues into today's topic. We're going to get into our Bible verse, but we are talking about, Dave is very excited for today's episode. We are talking about prepping for the holidays. And as you guys know, Dave loves 2 things, food and money, or cooking and money, I should say. So
I love food straight up. Yeah, it's okay.
Food and cooking and money are his favorite things. Sometimes I think his kids fall in third in line on that, but you never know. But So we are going to get into the topic, and we're going to get a little holiday budget talk today, because we are, with the end of September, we're closing in October, and we got the big 3 coming up: Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, back to back to back. So we're giving you a head start to get out in front of it from a budget standpoint. And I'm going to talk a little bit of diet strategy with it. But let's get into the Bible verse first before we get going. And that Bible verse comes from the book of John. And it says, and it's book of John, chapter 14, and it's the first verse. And it's one of my all-time favorite Bible verses. And it says, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me." Okay, do not let your hearts be troubled. And I picked this verse today because, we don't get very political in the show. But, as we head into fall, rates are high. Everyone's mad about everybody, over everything. And we're just living in a really divisive time right now. So I just try to bring it back to the basics. Read your Bible every day. Believe in the good Lord above. And that verse just is very simple. Do not let your hearts be troubled, dude. Everything comes to pass. Believe in God. And everything does work out. Nothing is permanent. Everything is temporary in this life. So if you're in a tough spot from a financial standpoint, if you're in a tough spot from a health standpoint, if you're in a tough spot from your faith, whatever the case may be in your marriage, just don't let your heart be troubled, because it's all going to work out in the end. Like I said, nothing is permanent. Everything is temporary. And I've been living by a new motto lately. And I texted a picture to Dave about, a month ago now. And it says, all gas, no brakes. And as those of you that know me, I am 99 miles an hour all the time. I get up at, 4 something every day. I don't ever stop. So, that's my new motto. All gas, no brakes, moving forward. So don't let your hearts be troubled, guys and gals out there listening. And one quick thing before we get going. We did have a listener text me. Good friend of mine had texted me a few weeks ago and said that he was binge listening to our show. And he was all the way up to episode 17. So shout out to a good friend of mine growing up named Andres. He has been listening to the show. He drove back to Connecticut from his house in Pennsylvania, and he said it was a 10-hour drive. And I said, I feel bad for you if you listen to Dave and I for 10 straight hours. I mean, that's tough.
Was he by himself, or was he riding with somebody?
I'm not sure if he was by himself or with his family. I'm assuming his whole family went. We didn't get that deep into the conversation, but he did compliment the show. He is listening to it, and he's binge listening to catch up. So thank you, Andres. And once again, thank you to everyone that listens. Like those are the things. That's why we do this. It's why we consistently put out a show every Tuesday, because, hey, I don't care if we pick up one listener a month. It doesn't matter to me, Dave. But what matters is the messages of, hey, thanks. It really hits home. Thanks for reminding me of a lot of things. And I thought that was pretty cool. And the second, we're doing house cleaning right now because I'm in the mood. The second thing, if you look behind me, I have switched studios. So as you know, living in the middle of nowhere, the internet's terrible. So Dave and I have been trying to troubleshoot the way to get the best audio video quality. So I am trying a different room, which so happens to be the Scrabble board.
Has more windows in it.
Yeah, the Scrabble board of my family. You can see Madison's name. You can see Caroline, Finley, Andine, and then I'm over here. That's the TT in my name. Andine made that. That's traveled with us all over the country. Whatever living room we have, that sign goes up. So, but no, man, I'm super pumped about the show today. As you can tell, I'm pretty jazzed up. So, Dave, I'm letting you lead off as our new tradition, as always. Give me some famous number 28s.
There's a lot of famous number 28s. My favorites, I've got a couple. Really like Marshall Faulk. I mean, he's one of the best ever. So he's a great number 28. But my all-time favorite number 28, and I'll let you take the rest of the list because I usually ramble on with him. Doesn't get any better for me. The number 28 from the Dallas Cowboys, Darren Woodson. He's one of my favorite players of all time. He was on the Super Bowl champion Cowboys in the 90s. Man, he could put a lick on people. I've gotten a chance to meet him and work with him over the years. He's an incredibly nice guy. When I was at ESPN, he gave me his phone number. He's like, anytime you come to Dallas, you look me up, we'll get together. Just a class A guy. So number 28 from the Dallas Cowboys, he's the only one that I'm going to stand behind for this one.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
Jeez, I don't know. I think he is a Hall of Famer. You're going to make me look that up right now. I'm not sure if he ever got in.
Charles Woodson may not be a Hall of Famer yet, but I'm pretty sure he is a Hall of Famer, right? He will be. Charles Woodson will be a Hall of Famer for sure.
Yeah, he will be.
He was a former Raider and Packer.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He is not in the Hall of Fame.
He's not. Okay.
He is not. Darren Woodson not in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well,
which is a shame. Is a shame. He should be.
Yeah, you only say that because he's a Cowboy. Okay, knock it off.
No, that's not true at all.
Other 28, Marshall Faulk is the greatest number 28 of all time, in my opinion. That's the greatest show on turf. That's those Rams year of the Kurt Warner, the Isaac Bruce. You know, he is the greatest. And he was the juggernaut. He's the MVP. You know, he was 1,000 guy. I'm pretty sure, or at least was going for 1,000. Another one, not, you know, I think football fans know who Curtis Martin is. He's the great Jets running back. CJ2K, Chris Johnson for the Titans, wore 28. Corey Dillon for another. It's a lot of running backs, obviously. That's a running back number. But Corey Dillon from the Bengals and then won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. And I did throw a baseball one in there. Buster Posey, who I don't know really where he is in his career. He's got to be winding down by now. But he was a young, great catcher for the Giants on those World Series teams. So that's our list today. You got anybody else to throw in there?
Nah, those are the main ones.
All right. Well, there's our number 28s. Next week, 29s. And you guys, if you think of any, because it's funny, Dave and I got in a discussion the other day. His father questioned the Wade Boggs number. And and I said, no, Wade Boggs, I looked it up. I trust my statisticians, which is AKA Google, you know. And Wade Boggs, because I forgot, then he brought something about Wade Boggs. I forgot that Wade Boggs even played in Tampa Bay, but he did.
Yeah.
Because I knew he played for the Red Sox and the Yankees, the arch rivals, but I forgot.
Yeah.
The Tampa's like the redheaded stepchild of that love affair.
And Tampa retired his jersey, which is even crazier. Like, how long could he have possibly been there for?
Yeah, I know. Was he playing into his 60s?
Unreal.
All right. So we're getting into the main topic today, all right? We've been going with some stuff here in the beginning, having some fun. Main topic today, the holidays are coming, okay? End of September, you know, we're a week and a half away from October, and that's when the big three holidays come into play. Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Dave brought up the idea to me, 5-6 weeks ago about, hey, why don't we do we did our fall show. He goes, but why don't we do like a budget show for the holidays? And we could talk about budgeting for holidays. And I said, you know what? It's a great idea because, like I said at the beginning of the show, we're giving you a head start. Dave is going to give you tips and tricks and head start onto how to budget for the holidays. So with that, Dave, the floor is yours. I may throw a couple tidbits, may ask you a few questions, but the floor is yours on holiday budgeting. And then I'll hop in when need be. All right.
Absolutely. We are fast approaching my favorite 2 months of the year, October and November, because they have two of my favorite holidays. I love Halloween and I love Thanksgiving. So to start, I want to just stress this point. Holidays are not an emergency, okay? They're not an emergency. So acting as if they're an emergency is not something that you should do. You should plan for this. You should budget for this. Now, what you should do is you should budget all the way through the year for the holidays and not start the end of September. But if you're like I used to be and you're just kind of getting into this, living a full force life and budgeting and what that's like, now's the time to start. You still have some time, okay? So one of the cool things that I've found out when we started budgeting and actually doing this is that banks actually have a holiday savings account. How cool is that, right? They got regular savings account, they got checking account, they got retirement accounts. They have all these different accounts. They also have a holiday account. And the cool thing about that is you can put money in throughout the entire year, each month, and you can't just take it out. It's not like pulling money from your checking account. If you take it out, you have to take out everything and it closes the account. So it encourages you to put the money in there, save, and at the end of the time, usually it's in October, they'll take a check and they'll deposit that check into your savings account or into your checking account. So you have all the money that you saved throughout the year. We do that with Christmas. So we're getting close to that time where we're going to get a deposit into our checking account from all the money that we've budgeted throughout the year for Christmas. And then when Christmas comes, we've got the money. We put those the cash into envelopes. We know everybody that we need to buy for. And we allocate however much money each person gets. It goes into the envelope. And when we spend the money, we either pay cash or we put that money back into the checking account and then, pay with a debit card to pay for it. But far too often, people will just put the money on the credit cards. Oh, it's Christmas this year. It snuck up on me again. It always sneaks up on me, and they do that. Or people will wait till they get a holiday bonus. They might get a yearly bonus at work, and that's what they plan to use for their holiday savings. But in case your company doesn't give you one, times are tough. Maybe that's not the case. You got to start planning way in advance. And that same goes for Halloween and Thanksgiving too. Any thoughts on that to start, Brett?
Well, I never even thought, like, I'm going to act like a complete buffoon here. I never even thought of the holiday savings things. I remember when I was a kid and my mom had a job growing up, they always had, like you mentioned, like it comes out of your paycheck, right? Like you can have holiday saver or whatever the heck that was called, where they would take X number of dollars out of your paycheck. And as much as I, I've been listening to Dave Ramsey and listening to you for years now, like I am a complete bonehead when it comes to that stuff. Like, because when the way we always did Christmas and holidays is Andine would just buy the stuff as long as we need it. Like if we saw a present in June, she'd buy it, so, and we've now been 3 Christmases with no credit cards. So this will be our 3rd Christmas with no credit cards being used. But no, I really love that idea of the savings thing where you can put it away.
Yeah.
I think it's clever and it's, however you want to describe it. It's a smart way of thinking. The money's not going just to nothing. And it's nice. All of a sudden you got a nice lump sum that you said gets deposited into the checking account to buy whatever you need.
Yeah. And you said it, you can buy stuff throughout the year, and you can still do that because every month you're not having it automatically taken from your check. You're physically making a deposit into that account.
Yeah.
So, if you're saying, all right, $200 a month are going to go into the holiday savings account. If you find something in June, you're like, oh my God, the kids would love this. Well, then you buy it. You buy it for them. And then you just don't put as much in. Whatever it is that costs, you deduct that from your 200 and you just put the rest of it in for that month. So you can still do those types of things throughout the year. You just got to be diligent about it. But again, it's about being focused, being intentional with the things that you do. So yeah, Christmas is coming. That's the one that's furthest away. But which one is right around the corner? That's Halloween. And I didn't realize how expensive Halloween could be until I had kids. Candy's not cheap itself, right? Yep. So what can you do? What can you do about the holidays with Halloween? So one of the things that you can do is you can start buying candy now. You've got 5 weeks, right, before Halloween comes. So if you're planning on passing out candy, buy a bag of candy a week. And then that way you don't get hammered the week before Halloween where you've got to buy, $50, $60 worth of candy all in one shot. So space it out evenly in your budget and doesn't bust your budget the end of the month. But don't do like Casey and I used to do years and years ago before we had kids. When we passed out candy, the first year we did it, when we had our house, we bought all the candy ahead of time, ended up eating through all the candy by Halloween and ended up having to buy more.
Listen, don't
do that.
Don't pregame Halloween by eating chocolate and listen, you ain't ever going to argue me about a Reese's peanut butter cup unless I'm on 75 hard. Do not pregame Halloween by eating candy from those bags before Halloween night. Listen, you're already going to pirate and pilfer through your kid's bag. Don't eat the candy that you bought to give out beforehand. There's your first health tip about the holidays. Don't eat the candy before Halloween.
Yeah, because you'll get plenty of candy during Halloween, so save it for then. One of the next ones, this one came straight from Casey. We did this when we were getting out of debt, when Kendall was really young. What we did is we bought costumes at a consignment shop, and that was a huge savings. Because, costumes, man, they could be $25 to $100 for a kid's costume, which is flat out crazy. And if you look early enough, you can find a Halloween costume for really inexpensive at a consignment shop. Have you guys ever done that?
I don't know if I ever bought them from a consignment shop, but Andine a lot of years made their costumes. Even when I was a kid, we always wanted to be something stupid anyway, so it was easier to make your costume. But, the girls have had, of course, I have 3 daughters, so we've all gone through the princess phases. Everyone's got a princess. But another way that it works, and this is I'm not the budget guy, but this is a good budget way to do it. Don't throw away your Halloween costumes if you have multiple siblings, especially like me, 3 girls. You have 3 girls. That Elsa costume was Madison's. Caroline was Elsa once in Finley, or Rapunzel, whoever the flavor of the month is for the Disney princess. Don't throw those costumes away. Keep those costumes and let them reuse them, because I swear they're all going to want to be a princess at some point if you have girls. Yeah.
And for us, Bryce is like the costume kid. He's got he's got a SWAT costume. He's got a cowboy costume. He's got so many different, he's Batman, Spider-Man. It's like his thing. He loves just dressing up as superheroes and all these different things. He did his SWAT for his birthday party. But we told him, all right, you've already got a bunch of costumes that we've bought. You're picking one of those to wear for Halloween. We're not getting a separate one for that.
He can just dress up as Bryce, tank top, gym shorts, and cowboy boots. That's what Bryce did. Whatever they call it, that's called the Bryce.
It is. It's so true. So yeah, so take a look at the consignment shops. That's a great place to find a costume.
Or if you can make one. If you can make one, make one.
Or you can make
because,
one. Absolutely.
You got a lot of clothes in your house. You can make a costume.
Oh, for sure you can. For sure you can. All right, next major holiday that's coming, Thanksgiving. My question to everybody is: are you hosting Thanksgiving? Because that makes a big difference on the budget. If you're hosting Thanksgiving, or if you're not hosting Thanksgiving, great. Then this one doesn't really mean too much. But if you are hosting Thanksgiving, what are some things that you could do? Well, there's a lot of things that you can buy now for Thanksgiving. There's a lot of things that, aren't going to go bad. They're in cans. You can buy your cranberry sauce. You can start getting pumpkin in a can. You can get a frozen turkey. You get breadcrumbs. Again, start spacing those things out now in your weekly budget at the grocery store so that by the time Thanksgiving comes, you don't get slammed with a couple $100 in food or more that you need to come up with. And just start putting it in the pantry, putting it in the freezer, and you'll be good to go. Because I'll tell you, we host Thanksgiving all the time, and it can be really, really expensive. So whatever you can do to kind of spread that cost out, on the weeks leading up to it is huge. And don't go crazy on the decorations. I mean, you can go to local places. I mean, more so back east than here in Tucson. But like if you're back east, your place, you're out in the country, you can go get corn stalks places. You can go get pumpkins for relatively inexpensive amount. Like you can do all those things, gourds and things to like decorate your house, leaves, scarecrows. Like you can make all that stuff at home. You don't have to spend a ton of money on that stuff. And I think that's another good way to save some money.
Well, with Thanksgiving, a couple things. We have a freezer. We have a turkey in the freezer already for September 20th. Thanksgiving is 2 months away. We don't got to worry about buying a turkey. It's already in the freezer. Like I'm not a snob when it comes to farm raised freaking turkey because wow, you got a fresh one. Guess what? It was still fed the same grain of the one from 6 months ago that I decided to freeze. The other thing is I two things. Go to somebody else's house for Thanksgiving if you want to save the most money because you end up making just a single dish. So go to Dave's. That's the easiest way to do it. And Dean gets to make a pumpkin cheesecake or something like that, and we could save it. You save a bunch of money.
Yep. And
I also want to say, don't be if you guys out there that are listening are strapped for cash this year. If it's a tough year, don't feel that you have to volunteer to host Thanksgiving either. Now, Dave would volunteer to host Thanksgiving because he loves Thanksgiving. It's his favorite holiday. Always he'll do it. He loves to cook and all that stuff. But if you do, don't feel obligated to have to host Thanksgiving for a bunch of people because if you don't have the extra $500, because let's be real here, if you do the whole thing and you got 25 people at your house, it's not $200. It's way more than that.
No,
so don't feel bad or have a small Thanksgiving if that's the case. Just have it be, close family members or just, siblings or whatnot to make it easier. And the second thing that you said is, if you buy a can of corn or a can of gravy or whatever the hell you buy for Thanksgiving, if you buy it in September, it's still good in November. You know what I mean? You don't have to fall. You don't have to fall because what happens is the grocery stores know they make these huge displays, right? These big Thanksgiving displays. And by doing that, the big stacks of the vegetables and the this and that, you overspend. Because it's like this massive display in front of you. So you're just going to grab two of everything. And I know it's very hard to do to just buy one thing today and then one thing next week and one thing next week. But the slow stuff, it just produces the results like in anything. All of a sudden, come Thanksgiving, the week before, you already have essentially everything. If you didn't,
Yeah. I mean, we've all done it, right? I mean, you get the holidays, and if you don't start doing that, if you don't start buying stuff ahead of time, you got your weekly budget for the grocery store, $200, if that's what it is, $200 every week at the grocery store. Okay. Well, you still Thanksgiving is one day of the week. You still have other days that you need to eat. So your budget that week is still you're still going to spend money. So the extra that you spend on the holiday, it's significant. It can be significant for those big holidays, depending on how many people you're having. So it really does. It eases that pressure because if you can do all of this stuff leading up to it, and then you just got to get the fresh stuff. You just got to get the fresh vegetables, the milks, and the stuff like that. The week of, it'll make it so much easier on your budget. It's just not going to burst, and the stress you have is going to go way, way down.
Yeah, and one more thing on Thanksgiving, quick. So and like I said, I'm just jumping in here on the budget stuff when I think of stuff. Another thing, if you are going to host, do not be afraid to ask your guests to bring something, right? You may not like the way somebody makes mashed potatoes, but I don't know if anyone's paid attention to the cost of potatoes lately. They're not what they were a year ago. Like, don't be afraid to say, hey, I'll host, but can everybody bring one thing? So you can still make the turkey and whatever trappings you want to make, but you can ease the budget a little bit by having everybody bring something, whether it's a dessert or a side dish or whatever. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Don't feel embarrassed or weird about doing something like that, because it is expensive. You know what? Quite honestly, everybody's feeling the same thing right now. So yeah, don't be shy with that. But the big one that people lose their mind with completely is Christmas. Okay. Christmas, people just forget everything at Christmas. It's unbelievable, especially when it comes to money. And you're going to talk about it when it comes to fitness too. People just, they go haywire, and it's not just for a day for Christmas or 2 days, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. It literally starts the day after Thanksgiving. And you start slamming down cookies, and we spend so much money on buying stuff for cookies, just baking goods in the course of the month. Like, it's crazy. And people go way overboard and lavish on gifts and things. You're buying stuff for your 13th cousin and, your old best friend's teacher. Like, it's insane on what people will, drum up to spend money on at Christmas. And it doesn't need to be like that. You need to, we get back to what Christmas is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a time to be together as a family and to enjoy one another. Yeah. Who doesn't want Christmas gifts? They're fun. Kids love them. It's a big part of it. Yep. So I get that, but you got to be intelligent with it. You got to be smart about it. If you don't have the extra money, don't spend it. The kids don't need it. You know how it is, Brett. Kids get a few Christmas presents. They play with one. They play with one that they love, and then the next day maybe they'll play with another, and they bounce around. They get completely overwhelmed with what they get for Christmas, and half the time they don't end up playing with it after Christmas break is over. You never see it in their hands again.
Listen, man, you are right. What happens is all of a sudden after Christmas, and this happened when we were kids too, all those Christmas presents end up just staying in a stack underneath the tree in the living room for 2 weeks until someone finally tells you to throw the stuff away or move it or whatnot. And you're right. My kids, I know my kids, there's a healthy competition amongst all kids. Oh, you got more presents than me. Because you don't think your kids are counting presents. Believe me, they're counting freaking presents. They know how many their sister got or how many their brother got. But once again, remember, kids, they forget about things in about 5 minutes. So once they're over the fact that, oh my God, Madison got 8 presents and I got 7, like 5 minutes later, they're either sharing a toy or whatever, and they move on. So, and that's the other thing. If I'm going to make one budget friendly comment on the Christmas thing, is your kids do not need 100 things for Christmas. If, like I said, money's kind of tight for everybody right now with the economy and things going. Your kids do not need, I'm going to say it again, your kids do not need 100 presents. You're not doing them any favors by buying them 100 presents. Or that's an exaggeration, 25 presents. Okay? If there's, when I was a kid growing up, you got one gift, like one big gift, whether when I was a kid, it was usually a gun or a fishing pole or something like that, and then you get a bunch of little stuff, and it was fine. But kids these days, man, they want my kids are guilty of it. I want this. I want this. I put my Christmas list together, and it's like writing a journal entry. I'm like, what the hell you guys think this is? So don't feel obligated. Your kids will not love you any less if you don't get them 25 items. Yeah.
And the kids are all like, Bryce, he's got the endless Christmas list that doesn't stop. Kendall, though, this is the first year she's like, I don't want a lot of stuff for Christmas. She's trying to be cleaning out her room. She wants to have space in her room. She's really into like gymnastics right now and cartwheels and like that sort of thing. So it's like, Kendall, one of the things you can do instead of asking for stuff that you really don't want is ask for, she wants to do gymnastics. She wants to try gymnastics. And we've talked about she does karate. That's a big thing she does that we spend money on every month. Now she wants to try gymnastics. I was like, if you really want to do that, ask somebody for, ask your grandfather or something to get you a couple months worth of gymnastics lessons to see if you like it and you enjoy it. You don't just have to get, just a toy, a functional toy. You can do other things with it. And, maybe those things are better. They really like going to Elevate and jumping on the trampolines, ask for a gift card to Elevate to do something fun for a day. So there's different things that you can do too that doesn't have to be just toys and clutter and things like that. Yeah. One last thing on the holiday. Oh, go ahead.
No, it doesn't have to be a physical, like you said, a toy. Like, perfect example. Madison loves the horseback ride. When we were living in Arizona, she would ask Papa for horseback riding lessons. That was her favorite gift by far, to get to go ride once a week for an hour. That was better than any present you could have gave her, And the same thing with Caroline. She loved to rock climb. So for Christmas one year, she got a membership to Rock Solid out in Tucson. And that was her favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
We'd get there every 10 days or so, and she'd climb for a couple hours. And that was worth the price of gold of any other, and granted, we got her the rock climbing shoes, so she didn't always have to rent them when we went there. So that was like a gift to open up with the gift card for the membership,
Yeah.
And those are the types of gifts, like give your kids, like you said it, Gary, give your kids some experiences versus material items. They'll thank you. I promise you, they'll thank you so much more down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. And when they see them get sold in the tag sale for $1 for something that costs, $20 and $25, it's eye opening for them.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to hit on the budget is decorations. And this is mostly for Christmas. I mean, people will go overboard for all decorations, but Christmas decorations are like next level, right? Just like everything else with Christmas. If you don't have Christmas decorations yet, wait till after Christmas. You can get them for next to nothing at all the stores when they're just pushing them out on clearance, pushing them out. That's one thing Casey does. The day after Christmas, the first thing she does in the morning, she gets up, she goes to Target, she goes to Walmart, she's buying wrapping paper for the next year. She's buying bows. She's replacing all the wrapping stuff that we used, those types of things. Like, you can get all that stuff at an incredible discount after the holidays. I mean, now everything's moved up too, so you can probably get stuff for Christmas 50% off now, because I think they're already on Valentine's Day at the store. So it's insane how early. I mean, you want to get Halloween stuff, you got to get out there in usually May or June now. So think about those types of things. Don't go overboard. If you live in the Northeast or areas where you have like pines and things like that. When we were in Connecticut, Casey used to make all of our garlands, our wreaths. We used to just clip stuff, from the woods, and she used to make it all. Like, you go on YouTube, figure out how to do that, and you could save yourself a freaking fortune on doing that kind of stuff yourself.
Yeah, like as my wife, she's the crafty one. She'd go out there, she'd send me out in the woods with some shears and say, "Get me greens." That's what she'd say, and she'd come home and I'd bring home buckets of greens, and she'd make masterpieces with berries and everything else in them. And I like what you said about the decorations, because I never even thought about budgeting for Christmas decorations, because obviously when you have kids like lights on the house. And obviously in Connecticut, it was always miserable and cold, but Arizona, Christmas decorations are a really big thing out there. And where there's warmer weather, because it's easier to do decorations. And what we did, and this was a way that we budgeted without even knowing it. So we were in Arizona for 7 years, and the kids wanted to blow up. So every year for the 7 years that we were there, when the Christmas displays went up, they were allowed to buy one blow up. All three of them, well, first it was Madison and Caroline, and then by the time Finley's born, all three of them had to agree on the blow up. So by the time the 7th year came, we had 7 blow ups in the yard. We didn't go buy 7 blow ups at one time at $17 or $20 a piece. We bought one a year, and then we kept good care of them. Yep. We put them back in the box that they came in, and every year our Christmas display grew just a little bit. And the same thing, we always went and looked at lights and things right after to buy them for the next year. Like, next year I'm going to do this, and next year I'm going to do that, because we went and got 50% off Christmas lights. So next year I can add to the house or add to the wall. And that's what we did. We went from a little tiny display on the door to end up having a decent sized Christmas light display in the front yard.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that wraps up my budget section, bro. Why don't you take everybody down the health tip fitness area? Because this is the time of year, man, where people start putting on the pounds and it can get ugly.
Yeah. So I don't have I didn't want to go crazy into detail about fitness per se, but it's more about food and how we eat. As I was telling Dave in show notes. So what I did is I kind of broke it down. Each holiday, I have a little tip, and then I'll go into some really basic stuff that I think it's pretty well known that what you need to do to battle through. Okay. I said this to Dave, and he about pissed his pants and keeled over laughing. I said, when he was talking about holidays and food, I said, "Are you kidding me? The holidays are a fat person's paradise." That's what I said. And now, does that sound rude? Call me rude. It's the absolute truth. It is 100% truth, because all you do is eat at someone else's house, eat better food than you do, but you eat it in quantities that are huge. It is literally a fat person's paradise. Okay. And it starts with candy at Halloween, pies and cakes at Thanksgiving, and then a bunch of cookies and whatever other bullshit you eat at Christmas. Okay. So I said, I want to put a tip for each holiday for the big three. Okay. Halloween, the first tip. We've kind of already brushed it. You don't need to eat all the candy. Okay. Don't go raiding your kids' candy. And the other thing is, when you buy candy to give out to people, don't eat it all. We already said that. But if you know the night's starting to run thin or the night's starting to run long or short, and you still got a bunch of candy, here's a tip. Give 2 to everybody. Get the candy out of your house, because if it's not in front of your face, you're not going to eat it, okay? So that's your tip for Halloween. You don't need to eat all the candy. For Thanksgiving, this is my favorite. You do not need to make your plate a fucking pie sampler, okay? You don't need 7, because if you go to Dave's house on Halloween, on Thanksgiving, there's 7 different types of pies. You don't need 1 slice of every single piece of pie, okay? Don't make your plate a pie sampler plate, because guess what you do? You end up eating an entire pie without even knowing it, but you don't think you did because you just had one of everyone. Guess what? Put all 8 slices together and you got a whole pie. Banana cream, blueberry slab, pumpkin, you name it. You don't need to make it a freaking sampler.
After you just got done slamming down 13 pounds of turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, carb paradise.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And then for Christmas, I like this one too. Have 2 cookies, not 10. All right? Listen, my wife makes the best Christmas cookies. I am a glutton for peanut butter cookies with the Hershey Kiss in the middle. I don't mince words. I could eat 50 at one time. If you give me a glass of milk, I could eat 50 of them like it's nothing, okay? It is not healthy.
Yeah.
Have 2 cookies, not 10. So the gist of holiday eating is this. Everything in moderation, okay? You know, that's the other thing. Everyone on Thanksgiving, especially at your house, they go and make this plate. And if you can see me on YouTube, my hands are like in the plate, right? And they mound it. But what do they do after they mound it? They go back and get seconds. Are you nuts? You just put 4,000 calories in your body. You don't need to go back and get seconds. The food isn't going to grow legs and run away. It's going to be there. You're going to probably get a chance to take some leftovers home. All right. Or if you're hosting, you're going to have leftovers. Okay.
Yeah.
So moderation. Or if you think, if you know your urge and your self-control is out the window because it's a holiday, maybe on your first plate, just make it smaller. Don't heap it. Just make it like 3 things. A little mashed potatoes and gravy, a little cranberry, a little turkey, okay? And then when you go back for seconds, don't go back and get the same things. Get something different. Get a little green bean casserole, get a little whatever, sweet potato, whatever it is. Just you don't need to mound the stuff, okay? I'm not kidding. It like moderation is the key to all holidays, okay? And another thing that if you can, and I know most people, it's really hard to do, avoid alcohol at the holiday season, because when you drink, you eat more. End of story. It is a bona fide fact. You will eat more junk food. You'll eat more food in general because you're feeling tipsy. You got a little buzz, and you don't even know what you're putting in your mouth. And then forget about it. If you end up getting full blasted bombed, you are just going to be shoving anything in your mouth at the end of the night because you're so hammered. You're going to be just trying to shove food in your mouth. So avoid the alcohol or keep it to a very, very minimum level during the holidays. Plus, alcohol leads to fights and arguments, and when there's a bunch of family in the room, it's bound to happen. All right, that's a safety tip on alcohol. You know what I mean? So, and one other thing that we used to do as a family, like we used to always go for a walk together. After we ate dinner, we would always just go for a walk. It wasn't a long walk. So instead of eating and going and laying on the couch or whatever the case may be, sitting down watching football, or if it's Christmas, there's usually NBA games on and stuff. We used to get up and go for a walk. Like the whole family, we'd bring a football with us. Living in Arizona where Dave is, we used to go to holidays. We used to go to the park and play sports. Like give yourself a time away from the table, and you're going to burn some calories just going for the short walk or playing a little game of football with your family and stuff. And it keeps you away from the food because, like I said, it is a fat person's paradise and the holiday seasons, especially those big 3 holidays, because it's literally fats, sugars, cakes, pies, drinks, you name it. Everything under the sun is just
And
go ahead.
I know you said you didn't want to make it just fitness; you were making it more food. But one of the things that's worked for me over the years is our last year in Connecticut, I did a turkey trot, did the Goshen turkey trot.
Mm-hmm.
Last year out here, I ran a half marathon before Christmas, the Run Rudolph race. So like you can do those types of things too to keep you focused during the holiday season and keep you on track. Because ultimately, if you're working towards one of those goals, you're going to want to be more diligent about your eating habits too, just so you don't blow that all up.
And you're not going to feel as guilty if you go on, the Goshen Turkey Trot. I ran that race in the snowstorm one year, by the way. You will burn 6, 7, 800 calories, like you gave yourself a nice head start, you know? And for us, I know like not getting full is hard because growing up, as you know, when you're married with children, your holidays is not just, most people's holidays isn't just stay home the whole day and you're there. You usually got to go to 2 different sets of family members. In my house, we always did, my grandfather was Christmas breakfast. Then it was, my parents are divorced. Then it was my mom's. Then it was my dad's. Then it was this. Then it was Andine's dad or Andine's parents or grandparents. All of a sudden you're like in one day, you literally, no human needs 7 full course meals in a day. But because you're doing it, you've either feeling, you don't want to insult anybody or you feel bad. So you just go there because they offer you food, because that's what everybody does on the holidays. They offer you food. So you go there and you eat. You don't need 7 meals. It's okay. It's okay to say no to food. You don't need to be force fed. You're an adult and you can make good decisions.
Yep. It's true.
So that's really it that I have. I didn't want to really get into fitness stuff. Listen, moderation, guys. Moderation is key. And hopefully you take to heart my 3 tips for Halloween, Christmas, and Thanksgiving. Unless you go to Dave's house for Thanksgiving, I just say F it and just go nuts, because the food there, you're getting a
you're just standing down on the side in the hallway between the bedrooms and the bathroom, just eating turkey.
There's so much turkey,
bite after bite,
and the turkey
right off the carcass,
and the turkey off the Traeger is just unbelievable. So, but moving along here, then quick shout out to my mom. Just about 4 days. Today's the 20th. So 4 days ago was my mother's birthday. So happy birthday to my mom. It was really cool. I haven't done a birthday with any of my family members since 2015 because we've been gone. So it was really cool to have cake with my mom, and both her, obviously my brother's passed away, but her 2 kids, my sister and myself were there, and her grandkids were there. So that was cool for my mom to have a birthday cake and see her and hang out with her. Just a shout out to her, because my mom is, my parents got divorced young, and my mom always worked full time to help support us in all that we do. Cause listen, man, me and my brother were 10.5 months apart. We were we were a lot to handle. So she did a lot for us. So just a shout out, just a little bit of respect to my mother for turning 63.
That's awesome. Happy birthday.
And then what else? What else we got in here? So, 75 Hard is done, Dave. Well, give me 2 things. Obviously we both survived 75 Hard again. We both made it through.
Yep.
No surprise there. Anything stand out to you on 75 Hard?
Man, there's a couple things. I had a day when I was traveling to Austin, and I needed to get a workout in. So what I did is I got to the airport 50 minutes before my flight started to board. So I was like, I can utilize this time right now and get a workout in. So I had my backpack on. I had 2 computers in it, books and stuff. It was pretty heavy. It was kind of like having a weight vest. So I had that, and I had my regular suitcase. So I went back and forth in the airport 4.5 times for 45 minutes across the Austin airport. Yep, back and forth, just powering through. And I actually had a hell of a workout. Said I burned over 300 calories during that stretch of 45 minutes. So that was pretty good. That was one of the ones that I had to really kind of dive into. It's like, this is like a weird workout, but it worked. And I had one really close near miss, and it was right towards the end. It was my first weekend in Austin. It was my first day traveling. I was all out of sorts. Didn't get a chance to do the things that I normally do in my routine. And I was laying in bed. It was like 10:40 at night, and I was trying to fall asleep. But the time zones, it was weird. I was 2 hours ahead, so I wasn't super tired, so I couldn't fall asleep. And all of a sudden, the light bulb went on in my head. I was like, "Holy shit! I didn't read my pages today." So I jumped out of bed, flipped on the light, grabbed my book because I had it with me, and I read my 10 pages. But man, had I fallen asleep, that was like day 61 or 62, I think. Mm-hmm. And that would have been unbelievable. But those were like the weird parts of it for me.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that there's always days. I can't really pinpoint a day where it was harder than any other day. Like a couple times there, like one time we went fishing for the day, and I think I didn't do my second workout till 9 o'clock at night. And to those that know me, Dave knows me, I am very much a creature of habit. I get up at the same time. I eat the same thing. I work out at the same time every day. I don't really deviate from the plan. Sometimes on the weekends when there's no school and things, I'll deviate from the plan a little bit. But you know what you're getting from me in terms of a routine when I'm on 75 hard. But the closest call, actually, and I was talking to Dave, was probably a month ago because this was early on. This was like maybe day 25. I am very anal when it comes to my picture. I get up in the morning. I go through my morning routine. I snap the picture. And usually my picture's within 5 minutes of waking up. I snap my picture in the bathroom, and what I do is after I take the picture, upload it to the app, I go back into my photos and I move that picture to a folder. I have a 75 hard folder in my iPhone, and I move that picture over there. So one day, I don't remember the day, I forgot to take my picture, and it was like 4 p.m. And I went through the app. You check your boxes. If you have the app, it's very easy to follow. You can check the boxes as you go along. And one day I didn't take my picture at 5 a.m. like I always do. And I only remembered, because I hadn't checked the box, and it was really awkward because the picture box on the 75 hard app is an actual plus sign. It's not a tab. It's an actual plus sign because you have to either take it from the app or add it from your phone. And I happened to be in my phone looking at my photos because we had taken a bunch of pictures that day, whatever we were doing. And I realized I checked my 75, my OCD checked in. I checked my 75 hard photo app, and I only had 21 photos. And I looked at my watch. I'm like, today's day 22. Where's the photo? And I went back through, and it wasn't in there. So at like 4 p.m, I quickly took my shirt off, ran in the bathroom, boom, snapped a picture, boom. So if you look at my 75 hard photo, I'm in the same either blue or gray shorts because I do it in my pajama shorts every morning. And there's one day where I'm not in that. I'm in normal. I think we had just gotten done messing around with the hose. So I had a towel on, and boom, I snapped the picture. That was my closest call because, man, I'll tell you, if I failed 75 hard over the picture, which is OCD as I am, I would have lost my shit.
You would have.
Do you have any questions about Connecticut or 75 hard or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm curious, man. You wrapped up 75 hard. You went to this wedding. You haven't had a drink in nearly 2 years. I'm curious. Did you have a drink at the wedding?
No.
Wow. Okay.
Piece of cake.
That's good.
Piece of cake. Yes.
Man, was that the first thing you had since 75 hard? The piece of cake at the wedding, or
no? I had dark chocolate bar this next day.
Nice.
I don't fuck around. I don't like to miss my dark chocolate.
Yeah, that's a tough one to not get a drink at a wedding. Kudos, man.
Yeah,
Kudos for you sticking on that, because I know that's been a big thing for you.
Yeah, it's the alcohol thing. I've said it, and you guys, this is 28 podcast episode in. I've said it before. Like, I don't even know if I'll ever drink. I say ever again, but I literally have such low desire to do it that it never crosses my mind. I'm around people when we do things with family that people are drinking or whatever, but I literally, it never crosses my mind. And that's just another thing. It's almost like moderation with food, right? If you don't have it in the house, you're not going to have it. Alcohol. If you don't have any alcohol in your house, you're not going to drink it. It's so,
it's true.
But that's about it. Connecticut was cool. I'll talk.
You get some good time with your dad.
Yeah, listen, he's my best friend. He's the main reason why I go back. So, I want to see him, and he's so damn stubborn. He doesn't ever come see me. So I lose that battle every time, but it's a battle that I don't mind losing,
keep fighting it.
Yeah,
keep fighting it. One of these days he'll come visit.
One of these days. He says he's going to come shoot a deer this year. We'll see. I mean, when that day comes, if you're listening, Dad, I'm sorry. We'll see that if you do show up to shoot a deer, you're more than welcome to come down and shoot a deer. But no, Connecticut's cool. It was very quick. It was 7 days, but it was really, really fast. It went fast because we got there. We went to Vermont, saw one of my very best friends in my whole entire life since I was a little kid. He's got a cottage up in Vermont. Got to spend a few days up there in cooler weather, Vermont foliage, maple syrup, all the good stuff. Then got back to Connecticut and on Friday, and then had the wedding on Saturday, and then hung out with my dad on Sunday, watched a little football and whatnot. And then, it wasn't that long. And we turned back around and drive on home. So.
Did you go to any apple orchards and pick any apples? Because the apples here in Arizona suck.
No, I didn't.
I miss a good Cortland apple.
No, we didn't. Unfortunately, as you know, if you don't live near family, it never works out. You never get to see anyone that you want to see. You always are going to piss somebody off, and someone's going to be pissed, and this, that, and the other thing. But it is what it is. you try to get there and see those that you want to make sure you see. And listen, time flies.
Yeah.
I swear this year more than any year, between work, changing companies, not living in Arizona anymore, this year has just been the blink of an eye. You know, we literally left Arizona. You know, we're closing in on a year already. It's like, holy cow! Like talk about how fast time goes by.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, it sure does.
But no.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you had a great trip. That's awesome. We're happy to have you back on the show now too, and we just keep on churning along into the holiday season.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Just like I said, at the beginning of the show, we're only about a week and a half away from October. Weather, like you said, weather's starting to change here. Being in the South, it is still warm and humid, but those nights are creeping into the 50s now, and that's where it's really nice because then you ain't got to run that central air all day and all night. You can, you know, get away with it and get a couple days in the 70s is nice.
No doubt.
So what do you got? What do you got today for a book recommendation?
It's a short one, but it's a good one. It's called The Dip by Seth Godin.
Okay.
And it's great. It's a short read. I mean, super quick. There's not really even chapters in this thing. It just zips right through. And basically what it's telling you is that in anything in life, you have dips. You've got ups and you've got downs. And if you're not willing to fight through the dip to be the best that you can be at something, then maybe it's time to quit that thing. If you don't care about it enough to push through the dip to be the best in the world at whatever it is you're doing, it might be time to quit. It talks about different strategies. When is it a time to quit? When is it not? How do you identify those things that you really are passionate about? How to focus on those things and then get rid of the other things that aren't important, that are taking away from your ability to push through the dips on the things that are really, really important to you and that you can be really great at. Because a lot of times, and I've been victim of this myself, I've got these things going on in my world, and I have things that I really want to push forward with, but I have other things that they're pulling me back. They're holding me back from doing the things that I really want to do and that I think I can be great at. And this book really does a good job of diving into that and some strategies to work through it. So that's the book recommendation. It's called The Dip by Seth Godin, and it's a real quick read, so check it out. Yeah,
it's a good book. Yeah, I mean, life is ebbs and flows. It's highs and lows, and there's dips, peaks and valleys, however you want to say it. You got to be able to battle through those low times to, you know, for greatness or whatever it is. It can be in life, family, sports, business, whatever it is. You got to battle through those dips. So yeah, good recommendation.
Yep.
I bet you'll never guess what book I started reading again.
What book you started reading again?
Yeah,
got to be Goggins.
Nope.
No? Endure? You went to Endure?
Obviously. I literally read 10 pages. I read the first 15 pages of Endure again, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm ready to go run a marathon. Sign me up. I'm going right now.
Man, I can't believe I didn't get that one. Your usual go-to is Can't Hurt Me with Goggins.
That's always been my
go-to. That was it. But
yeah, that was
then hey, the light bulb went back on in my head again, like it did that night in the hotel.
Yeah, no, Cam Hyatt. I'll tell you, that book. It's just every page, the words just fly off the page, and you can. It is. We don't need to go into that book. Go read both of those books. But if you want to listen to the book review on Endure, go back to episode 15. I'm not sure. I think it's episode 15. I could be wrong, but it's one of those there. But yeah. So that's the show, guys. We appreciate you listening. Thanks for the comments and the feedback. And we will talk to you again next week. Dave, go send us on home.
Hey, everybody, get out there. Keep living the full force life. I challenge you this week to go get something for one of the holidays that's a ways away. Start working that budget, planning for it. The holidays aren't emergencies. They're not popping up on you out of nowhere. So plan for them. Start planning now. So get out there, live the full force life, and we will talk to you soon.